I see Della. Can you see or hear me, Della? It's Jeremy Flanigan. I see you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Della? Hello? Hello? You can't hear me. I can't hear you either. Uh, ooh. Hold on. Try. We don't have audio. Ah, good. You're connecting. Good. It says that you're connecting to audio. I think we're getting there. How about now?
Hey!
You did it!
Oh,
Nice work.
great for an old lady, huh?
Hey, I'm impressed. Well, I don't have an iPad, so I don't know what to tell you. And I tried to write you a note, but then I realized that because of this virtual background I have up, that the camera wasn't focusing on what I wrote. It kind of creates a weird scenario for the foreground. But that's a monument to William H. English. There's Granddad.
Hey, hi.
Long time.
Hi, Mike.
How you doing, Jer?
How you doing, Mike?
That's Della.
Who?
There's Della.
Della Mae?
Hey, John.
How's it going, girl?
Well, you're lucky to be in Hawaii because we are going to get a big snowstorm.
Boy, I know. My I just heard from Leslie, and they've run out of wood again. Our daughter lives in Portland, and they have been without electricity for 2 days,
Oh,
and they've got a fireplace, but they don't have any wood. And it's 27 degrees. So one of their neighbors had a big store of wood, so they've agreed to share wood, which is very nice. But the last thing that Ann just told me just now, they're beginning to run out of the wood, and they still don't have any electricity. So it's kind of tough. I mean, it's life-threatening in a way.
that's what bothers me about here. This duplex that I'm renting is total electric.
Oh boy.
And if we have an ice storm or the power goes out, have no heat, no way to cook, nothing.
Yeah, yeah, that's tough. That's tough. That was one of the things we considered when we decided where to buy a house. I wanted to make sure that we were minimally exposed to bad things like that. So we've got solar panels. we got battery backup. When we had that earthquake a few years ago and all the power went down on Oahu, we had power because we had the battery backup. So Ann was the only person in the neighborhood that had electricity. So, but you know, we're up too high to be flooded. We're away from tsunamis. Earthquakes we can't protect ourselves from very much. We don't have a volcano close enough to hurt us much. So we're in pretty good shape here. But you people who are subject to the polar vortex, that's a tough one. You gotta, I don't know how you do cost-effective protection, because Leslie in Oregon, for example, with 27 degrees for a week and no electricity, but that only happens once every 10 years. And how much money are you going to spend to have a wood pile big enough to last you for 2 weeks? It's a problem. Just come and
Where's
visit
Vic?
us. Come and visit us. Oh, Vic's not going to be on.
Oh, what's wrong?
Jeremy said that he had.
What?
He told me that he wasn't going to be able to join us today. I don't know of a particular reason, but I do expect Gordon to be on. He had sent some interesting emails recently about William H. English and the monument to him and a building that he owned in Indianapolis in Monument Square. So I thought there'd be some good things to talk about, but we don't have Gordon on yet.
Is Vic okay?
Oh, I think so. I mean, I just messaged a reminder to him, and he said, "Sorry, I won't be able to Zoom today. Thanks for the contact, Vic."
I was so
There's Gordon.
sorry to hear about his brother.
Oh yeah.
Mark. Jeremy, you have a beautiful background. What is that?
Don't I? Well, maybe Gordon can curate my virtual background. Does that look familiar to you, Gordon?
Yes, it does. It certainly does.
Is that Gordon?
It is.
How are you doing,
Mike.
sir?
I'm fine, Mike. How are you?
I'm doing all right.
Your conduct is good today?
Huh?
Your conduct is acceptable today?
Yeah, pretty much.
Good.
Nothing hurt.
Gordon, what is that picture behind Jeremy?
That is the grave site of William H. English in Crown Hill Cemetery in Indianapolis.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Pretty fancy.
I can probably do a little bit better. Let's see here. Let me share my screen, and then you'll be able to see it a little bit larger. How about that?
That's good. Very good.
It's too much. It says burial monument for William H. English.
So he laid out the town of English, right? Is
No.
why.
He
Huh?
didn't lay it out. They just decided on him to name it.
Oh, I thought he laid the town out. I always heard that.
No, I don't
He
think
was Speaker of the House in Indiana, and he lived down in a little place called Lexington down around Scottsburg,
I
then
know
moved after that. But it's quite a story. And he had the English Hotel, which was the whole northwest corner of the circle in Indianapolis, a huge hotel and opera house. And there's some history with it too. He had he had a lot of contacts. He was quite a politician, and he had the FDR as a speaker on the balcony in that hotel in 1932 when Roosevelt was running for office. It's a very interesting story, and there's a good shot of the hotel.
Very
Huge
interesting story. And
Now,
I
Gordon, did English, did he ever have anything directly to do with the town of English?
Not at all, to my knowledge.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I think people just got excited about getting a free statue.
And a cannon.
Okay. Okay.
The people of Hartford welcomed English.
Right.
yeah,
Hartford.
There's a lot of history about that too. In 1917, there was a manager of the Milwaukee Brewers, which was a minor league baseball team, and the manager of that baseball team got into an argument with a waiter in the restaurant there in the English Hotel, and they must have been a little upset because they shot the guy and he died.
Oh,
And
Dillinger.
he was charged with second-degree murder, but found not guilty. And some people said at that time they felt that it was because he was a hot-headed Irishman, liked to drink and get drunk and fight, and the other man was black, and they thought that probably is why he got acquitted. But the man named Shea, who was the manager of the Milwaukee Brewers, was fired and never had another job in baseball, and committed suicide in 1927.
I assume the guy who was black must have been the waiter, because the hotel would not have allowed a black customer, right?
He was a waiter, and people said that he had a hot temper and was known to be rather loud and obnoxious. But it was quite an interesting story to me.
Like your suspenders.
Oh, thank you. I'm on my phone because I tried to get on through the computer and I never had a problem before, but I couldn't get through on this one. I was on a Zoom call last night. I had other people had the same problem, so I don't know why that was, but we were a half hour getting connected for the meeting.
I thank you for getting me on here. You did it. Great job, guy.
You have your camera set very well now too, because we can see your face this time.
Oh, that may be bad news.
No, it's good to see you.
I want to tell you about my necklace.
Good.
My daughter that passed in September, this was
Right.
her. And I never saw her wear it. I never knew she had it till she passed. But I think she had it designed for me and her. The aquamarine is my birthstone. The little sapphire here at the top is her birthstone. And
Very nice.
I think she designed it for Mom to have.
That sounds like it. That sounds right.
Really so.
So, John, don't you feel sorry for us here in Indiana with the big snow coming for the next 3 or 4 days?
Well, I don't know. That sounds very exciting to me. I feel sorry for myself because we're getting cold temperatures here. But I guess I probably can't get very much sympathy from you guys.
Yeah,
I mean, it got down into the low 70s. Come on.
you're still wearing a t-shirt and you're on your back porch.
Well, it got warm yesterday. We had a warm front come through, so it feels pretty nice now. We got another storm front coming though.
So Gordon, I think I'm on the bad end of the snowfall. Looks to me like I'm about to get the very worst. You're up a little north. You're not going to get as much, right?
That's right. Everything I've seen said we might get between 2 and 4 inches, and maybe as much as 6 and 7 to head south somewhere.
We're supposed to get 9 to 11 or something, I think, here.
Well, that would be plenty.
It'd be what?
That would be plenty.
The only thing that bothers me is that I'm due for my second vaccine on Wednesday,
Oh boy.
and I really want to get that,
Yeah.
but I may not be able to. I don't, drive on ice anyhow and snow. But I wonder if they have an alternative if you can't get it that day. Does the police come and get you and take you, maybe?
I don't know. But it doesn't hurt to get it later. If you have to put it off, that's okay.
You what?
If you have to delay it and get it later on, that's okay. That it's still good.
Really?
Yeah, it still does the job it's supposed to do.
Has everybody else had theirs?
I had my second one Thursday, and I had no ill effects. I was a little tired anyway, so I wouldn't have known the difference, I don't think. But I kept busy, and I was very busy on Friday. I drove 90 miles on Shriner's business and kept my mind off it. Maybe that's a secret. I don't know, but I'm feeling good now.
I got mine on Monday, and I have no problems with it.
Good.
I've heard that's the main concern is tiredness. People feel like they need a nap or just tired for a while.
Well, I'm like Gordon though. When you're just automatically tired, how can you tell?
That's right.
Granddad's scheduled to get his second shot this Wednesday, right?
Me too.
Yeah,
My day too.
but I don't think they're gonna get the snow in Virginia that you're gonna get. Are you in Salem, Della?
Yeah. Yes.
You're
Yes.
in Salem, and Gordon's in Lebanon,
Right.
Yes. Yes.
but
So-
far enough apart that one of you can get more significant snowfall.
So Mandy, I assume you're listening. You want to take care and watch Mike and see whether it makes him tired.
Yeah, I plan to keep an eye on them.
Okay.
Okay. So I don't know, Jeremy. Do you live with Mike or what's the deal here?
No, I'm in South Bend.
You live in South Bend?
Yeah.
And so where does Dad live?
In Virginia, Northern Virginia.
So who takes care of them?
His daughter, Mandy. They live together.
Okay. So are you married? Do you have a family? Jeremy, tell me.
I'm married. I don't have a family. I don't have kids.
Oh. Sorry.
I don't
Well,
know.
What would I do without my children?
Have you got kids nearby, Della? I
No.
know when we were there for your 85th birthday celebration, all your kids were there, but I don't know where everybody lives.
No, I have no children close. My son lives in Florida. He has a marina on Lake Okeechobee. I have a daughter in Michigan. I have a daughter who lives summertime in Kentucky, but the daughter in Michigan and the daughter in Kentucky both have winter homes in Florida. So they're down there, luckily. And I talked to my one daughter yesterday in Florida, and she said, it's so hot here. I want to sleep. They're good children, but there's no one here. I have no relatives at all, none at all, in Salem. And my friends are all like me. They're older than Dirk. I live across the street from Walmart,
Ah, wonderful.
and I have been ordering groceries curbside, which is a blessing
Absolutely.
because of not only the weather, but my balance is my big problem. I don't walk well. And
And you have a birthday coming up soon, don't you?
so do you, a little later.
That's right. Just a little bit
That
late.
makes me the older woman, right?
Yeah, we're just a few days apart, actually.
It's in May, is that right?
No, mine's in March.
Oh, yours
Uh,
is in March. The
well,
other M month.
The party was made because the kids couldn't get it all together.
Uh-huh.
My birthday is March 18th, and Gordon's is April 3rd.
April 3rd. I was born 2 days late.
You may have been born way too late.
And Uncle John's birthday is in March. And then Granddad's is in June.
Your birthday's in March? Jeremy?
No, Uncle John's is in March.
What day, John?
27,
What?
27, March 27.
Mine's the 18th. We'll have to.
Pretty close. We celebrate together.
And what year?
Why don't you
what
fly
year?
down?
What year
1933.
are you?
1933.
Well, you're just a year older than me.
I figured March 27th, 33. So I got curious one time and I thought, when was I conceived? And I looked on this program and you type in your date of birth and they tell when you were probably conceived. I was conceived on July the 4th, 1932. So it must have been some kind of a party.
My younger son was born on September 25th. And when he was a teenager, he said, "Hey, Dad, what were you doing on Christmas Day?" I said, "None of your business."
That's funny. That's funny.
Vic was not able to join us today, right?
That's right.
Oh, it's too bad. He and I had talked about the Fuqua bus line that ran through English. The
Fuqua,
home
that's right.
office, the home office was in Owensboro, and they went through English and all the way to Indianapolis. And coincidentally, this past week, Friday, I was down at the Shriner's office, and a young lady who's been there a short time has the last name Fuqua. And I said, "Ellen, your name is familiar." And I told her about the bus line. She said, "Oh, yes." He said that was one of my ancestors who had that, and said he was a huge Viking looking guy. But of course, we never knew the guy who owned the bus line, but that was a fancy bus, actually, for its day. It had kind of an aerodynamic styling, and I thought it was pretty attractive bus. But she said that the bus line ran for many years, and there are still names of that family in different cities around the country running bus lines, but the one in Owensboro is no longer active.
Gordon, do you have any idea of what the bus was? Fuqua ran from Indianapolis to Louisville, right?
No, I think they ran from
to Owensboro.
Owensboro up
Right.
to Indianapolis.
Okay, I used to ride a bus from Marengo to English, that ran from Louisville to Huntingburg, but I don't remember the name of the line.
I don't remember that one. Well, I think this bus was named Flexible. I'd have to look that up because I think it was the bus company and the manufacturer, I think, was Flexible. Or maybe that was just a model they had. I'm
Yeah,
not
I
sure.
don't know. I would ride the train from English to Marengo and take my music lessons from Aunt Anita. And then I'd get the bus and ride the bus back to English.
And
Wow.
how did music talent turn out?
I'm sorry, Della?
How did your music talent come out?
Oh, I was too lazy to keep it up. That's one of my great regrets, because she was an excellent teacher and a wonderful musician, and I just wasted it. Just wasted that opportunity.
You
Well,
mentioned riding the you
I can
mentioned
go
riding
back.
the train, John. You know, you could have hopped the train like Vic and Ronnie Kissel and I did.
Thank
I
you.
can go back a little farther than buses even. My grandfather drove a trolley in Louisville with the trolley lines and the horses. My granddad Starr.
Wow.
Where did
Sorry.
he live?
What?
Where did your granddad live at that time? Did he live in Louisville?
Well, he had to, I guess. I was down there one day and there was a sign, a street monument type thing on the corner that said this was a place where they kept the horses for the trolley. And my dad told me that my grandfather drove the horses and ran the trolley. I thought that was interesting, but maybe not anybody else.
Yeah, Mike and I grew up, and Gordon, we grew up in the time when horses were still a pretty major part of the activities that people did. Farmers used them. They'd plow the fields, they'd hook up wagons and carry the stuff into English and trade for feed and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Before my dad decided to move to Crawford County, we lived down near Dale, a little town called Selvin, and we lived on a farm, rented, and the man who owned the farm had a team of horses in the barn, and my dad would occasionally get those horses out, plow the garden, and that kind of thing. And when we moved to Grantsburg, we bought Dad bought a house from Ralph Grant, and it had no basement, and he borrowed a team of mules. No, they were horses in that case. He borrowed a team of horses, and he had a dump scraper, and he got under that house and had my sister Velma driving the team, which she didn't know how to do very well, but he used that dump scraper, which would fill up, and it had handles like a wheelbarrow, but he would vary the depth with the handles, and that's the way he dug a half basement under that house. You talk about work, that was work. And my dad was really a worker. He would do anything that needed to be done.
Well, I
Granddad
remember the horse,
Thornberry. Go ahead,
we had
Della.
horses. We had horses on the farm. And I remember as a child, Dad would in the spring take the horses out, plow the field, plant the crops. And I would, as a child, wait till he was coming in, and he would let me get on one of the horses' back as we take him to the creek to get a drink.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I wonder if Mike remembers the horses that Granddad Thornberry had. I remember one of them was named Dan, and we would ride him sometimes.
Prince,
Prince?
was there one of them Prince, Dan and Prince?
Yeah, that's right. Dan and Prince.
Yeah.
Okay, your memory is better than mine.
No, it isn't.
But yeah,
One of the horses,
Dan and
one of-
Prince. Very
one
good.
of the horses that my dad drove down in near Dale was named Charlie. And I thought Charlie horse is a good name, I guess.
Guess so.
My dad drove a bus to Jeff Boatworks back what? Would that have been during the Second World War? He worked at Jeff Boatworks and he would drive the bus from English to Jeff and take all the people every day and back home again. And that's the first time we ever had any money. We were poor.
During World War II, my dad tried to volunteer to go into the military as a chaplain. And the recruiter said, "You go home and take care of that big family."
How your
Grandmother,
boys, or how
You know,
your
there's-
boys?
you ever notice there is almost always the same period of time between the time everybody stops talking and it's silent for a while, and then somebody dares to come back in. And it's almost always the same length of time. It's quiet and quiet and quiet, and then 2 or 3 people speak at the same time. I was going to comment on the fact that Grandmother Flanigan always had, can't remember his name now, but he would take a horse to plow her garden back behind the house. Her garden was only, I don't know, maybe 100, not even 100, maybe 100 feet, 100 by 30 or so. It was a pretty small little garden. And he finally retired, and she didn't have anybody to plow, and tried to get somebody with a tractor. And they say, oh, it was too small a place. They didn't want to take the trouble of getting the tractor back there. But she got it plowed, so I don't know. That was after I got too old to know what was going on. But she kept getting it plowed. She had a garden every year for a while. And it was after I was in the military, I guess, that she finally quit growing the garden. Mike might remember, I don't know.
Frank McGovern used to plow her garden. In fact,
McGovern did?
Frank McGovern,
Was he the one that used the horse?
yeah. He had,
Oh,
I think he had a couple.
okay. I do remember Frank, but I did not remember that he was the one that did the plowing.
I think he was.
Who was the guy that used to do work for her for 50 cents an hour? And after the war, she tried to raise, she said, I've been paying you 50 cents an hour for so long. He said, I want to pay you 75 cents an hour. And he said, no. He said he didn't want to get paid 75 cents an hour. She says, why? He said, because when I'm loafing now, I'm only losing 50 cents an hour. I don't want to lose 75 cents an hour.
How your boys?
That's-
Gordon?
They're doing well. Of course, the COVID situation is affecting everyone, but I've noticed that I told my granddaughter in a conversation I had on the phone with her that I was half nuts already. So I've been able to adapt to all this situation because I keep busy with all the Zoom and Skype and all the other calls that I'm on. It seems like every week I have at least 2 of those. But I see other people who are just almost at their wits' end. They are so bored. They want to get out with people. They want to be in groups, and they're just really worn out. It's been so long for them. But I think it's a matter of just deciding what you're going to do and how you're going to react to it, because you have to accept it one way or the other. And Uh, and I think my boys have accepted it and are working pretty well with it. It's easier now, I think, than it was, but I do feel sorry for businessmen. It's a real strain on many people.
I
Yeah.
know I've been alone for almost 27 years. My husband died next April, 27 years ago. And I said, I thought I liked myself pretty well, but I'm getting damn sick and tired of myself.
I used to say I tried living alone once and I didn't like the company.
Okay, spring's gonna come one of these days.
Won't be long. You know, it's too bad that Vic couldn't be on this call because he and I were talking on the phone recently, and I said, the next time we have a Zoom meeting, we need to ask people how many names of the town marshals in English can you remember? And maybe we can do that next month.
Claude
many
Funk is
people
the
and
only one
what?
I remember.
How many what?
The town marshal's name.
What?
Mark Dooley.
Yep, Mark Dooley was my favorite.
Claude Funk.
I'm sorry, I
Goldman.
didn't get it.
Claude Funk had a liquor store, and he was the principal. I mean, he was the marshal, and people would buy liquor from him and get drunk, and then he'd arrest them.
The names of the town marshals, Della.
Thank you, Jeremy. Do you guys remember I lived north of town and there was this old guy that drove this car that was ancient. His name was Jack, and he would collect herbs alongside the roads and stuff and sell them, and he lived in English. Does anybody remember Jack?
I don't know, Joe.
Don't remember Jack.
You lived on the wrong side of the tracks.
He probably knew where the ginseng was then if he was doing that. Mayapple and ginseng.
You wouldn't find them alongside the road, though.
No,
Not likely.
I'm thinking more like goldenrods or something like that. But I don't know. But anyway, and when I was learning to drive, my brother Bob would take me in the car and let me drive. And my first car to pass ever was Jack. And of course, Jack only went about 15 miles an hour. And as soon as I got by Jack, I cut right quick and my brother grabbed the wheel. I remember that. Because I would have hurt Jack. I like your haircut, Jeremy. You've had it cut.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's very short and it's grown
Yeah.
out. It's grown out a bit even. I was thinking my grandmother, I remember her recounting of when her mother, so my great grandmother, first learned to drive. And it wasn't until my great grandfather went off to the war. So before he left, he taught my great grandmother how to drive. So she already had three kids and never drove and had to learn because he was going off to war.
Okay. That was the Second World War.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And they lived in well, I don't know if they were in Sulphur, somewhere around there at the time. So imagine my great grandmother with 3 kids in the country and didn't even drive.
Right. My mother never drove until all of us children were growing because, she always had as kids to drive her. And after we all left home, we finally learned to drive to English because her parents lived there. And that was as far as she would go, but she did learn to do it.
To think that her kids all learned to drive, yet she didn't learn to drive before
Right. Right. Yeah.
that. Ah,
I've enjoyed this. Is time about to run out or?
well, I'm looking at the calendar for next month, and it's the second Sunday is March 14th. So that's when we're next scheduled to Zoom.
We'll celebrate my birthday.
We'll
The
do
18th.
that. And daylight saving time
When does that happen?
on March 14th. So
Really?
yeah, it must be early that morning.
Well, let's hope. Where's Bob Roberts tonight?
I don't know. I haven't heard from him. I sent him a reminder. Now, the people I don't have contact information for, Melvin Beasley and Bob Mason, Robert Mason. I don't have their contact information. So I don't,
Robert who?
Mason.
I don't know him. Well, I'm sure, Jeremy, I appreciate what you're doing for us. This is wonderful of you. And I'm sure there are other people who would love to be included, but
Well, that reminds me, I got a message on Facebook from a Tim, Tim, Eade, Eade. And he says, I have enjoyed your Zoom with Vic Strawberry. Now, I don't know who Strawberry is.
Bob
Bob
Roberts.
Roberts.
And others. I grew up in English from 1952. My parents were there until 1994. Tim Eade. So does that name ring a bell to anybody?
I left English in 1952, so
Ah,
I wouldn't know who it was.
I left in 53, so.
Well, there was a man named Eade. I'm trying to remember if was he a minister? Or,
Yes, I remember Minister Eade, right.
Right. Yeah.
now, I don't know. I have not replied with much detail yet. So I don't have any idea how old he was in 1952. But I'll ask him. But anyway, he's watched these recordings because the Historical Society posts these up on YouTube and puts them on Facebook, and so people are watching.
Be careful what you say.
Gordon, have you heard from our classmate Ruth? Is she still with us? Do we know anything about her?
I have not heard from her. I'll try to call her, Della. I do have her phone number, and I'm sure she's still on dialysis, but I'll try to reach her and let you know.
Who's that? Ruth Tony?
I'm sorry, Mike. What?
What's that? Ruth Tony?
It was Gilmore at that time.
Okay,
Ruth Gilmore.
I remember Ruth Tony, but I don't remember Gilmore, no.
Well, she was in our class. Her name was Ruth, a skinny, dark-headed girl. There were only 8 of us, Mike. Surely you can remember us.
No, it was a small class, that's true.
Yeah, we needed you in that class, Mike. You should have been in it.
He did start with us, I think. Didn't you start with us as first graders? Mike,
Who?
did you not start with me as a first grader?
Probably.
Did you have Miss Mildred as your first grade? Miss Mildred.
Mildred Cummins.
No,
Yeah, that was a
Mildred
first grade
Cummins
teacher.
was my first grade teacher.
Right.
And
She was a new teacher when I started school.
I had Miss Mildred, and I remember a story about her. I don't remember what her maiden name was, but anyway, she dated this guy, and his last name was Floyd, and he went to service,
The
and
policeman.
he got her.
He was a
he got
state
her-
policeman.
He got her pregnant,
Uh-oh.
and so the story was that his commanding officer, who whatever, called him in and said, "You will go home and you will marry that woman." And so that Floyd guy, I think he was a trooper, maybe, I'm not sure. He came back and married Miss Mildred. And back in those days, you know, getting pregnant was unheard of. Scandal.
I
It
think,
wasn't invented until later.
I think Mildred Cummins, who was my first grade teacher, married Floyd Tony, who was the
Right.
Indiana.
Indiana State Trooper, right.
Yeah.
Well, Gordon, who you sent a email about a couple that had been married for 68 years, and I haven't read all of that, but what was the significance? Was that a couple from English?
The only real significance was that they got married. It's an interesting story. It's a long story, but they got married while they were still in high school, secretly, and the families were not very happy because they were only like 17 and 18, and then he went to the service, but he later was a bus driver for Fuquell truck bus line, and that's the only significance here. But the story itself was very interesting. The life they had for 68 years together. I thought it was a nice story.
Let's see, 68 years. How much longer do we have to go? We got 6 years. We got 6 years to go yet to get to 68 years.
We did 59, so that's pretty good these days.
Absolutely. Well, all right. We'll see who we get on next month. Hopefully, Vic will be back on and Bob Roberts. But of course, if there's anyone else who'd like to join, feel free to share the link with them. I just don't know Mel Beasley and Robert Mason. They just haven't been on in a while.
Thank you, Jeremy, for doing this. God bless you.
You're welcome. You too.
Yeah.
This is fun. I learn a lot. I laugh a lot, and it's pretty amazing that we have this technology. It's
Yeah.
different. It's not the same, but it allows connection, you know, from multiple people and multiple places, and so I think we all appreciate it.
Right.
I'm sure that all of us would not have dreamed of this technology back when we were going to English school.
Well,
No way.
We had 2 tin cans and a string.
well, I was mentioning my great grandmother learning to drive, and I do think on occasion, well, what would she think about? And this is a perfect example. What would she think about us
Right.
all getting
Oh,
together
yeah.
on a Zoom?
I remember when they turned electricity on in my house. You know, think how far our lives have revolved.
I
from-
remember when they turned the electricity on in English high school. We didn't have electricity the first year I went there.
Oh my goodness.
There were no lights. Yeah.
What did you do on like stormy days? Really dark.
We stood closer to the windows. Every room had big windows, and there was enough light, so it was just no big deal.
And that was high school.
Oh, that was elementary school.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I misunderstood. But still.
Mildred Cummings was my first grade teacher, and that was her first year teaching. So Mildred, same lady that was your teacher, Mildred Cummings.
Yep.
Okay, did she marry the Floyd?
I have no idea. That's
I bet it was, because we called her Miss Mildred.
Mildred,
my-
I think married that policeman,
Yes, Floyd.
Floyd Tony.
His last
Yeah.
name was Floyd.
no, I think his first name was Floyd. Floyd Tony was a policeman.
Floyd was his first name. Floyd Tony.
Okay, and our first grade teacher was Miss Mildred, who became
Cummins.
Floyd, right?
I remember Mother preparing me for first grade, and she told me to ask the teacher, should we call her Miss Mildred or should we call her Miss Cummings? And when I went into the room, that was the one thing I remembered to ask. And she beat me to it and said, I'm Miss Cummings.
Okay,
Your question.
okay.
We're all prepared.
Right.
She
She
became,
took my preparation right out from under me.
she married a Floyd. And she was pregnant. I remember that.
So then did her name become Mildred Tony?
Yes.
Okay.
And the
First
people
grade
who
teacher.
watch this on the Crawford County Historical Society will be interested in the gossip that we share here.
Hey, you got to know your audience and keep them coming back. You got to keep your watch numbers high.
Right.
Jeremy,
Night,
thank you
guys.
so
Love
much.
you all.
All right. Thank
Appreciate it.
you all. Take
Hey,
care,
Jeremy,
everybody.
Thanks,
I'm going to share
Jeremy.
share my t-shirt with everybody.
That's great. All right. Bye, everybody.
Okay,
Goodbye.
take care.
Okay, next month we'll all wear t-shirts, okay? With
Right.
funny things. How about that?
Okay,
I got one.
good.
Hopefully the weather will cooperate with us all wearing t-shirts in March.
Let's do that. March is
Okay.
t-shirt night.
T-shirt month. All right,
Bye-bye.
we got a theme for next month. All right, bye, everybody.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Jeremy.